Good morning po.
Okay, for today, so apologies for starting a little bit late. For today, we start with a discussion of the first, you can say the first uh, topic that requires a little bit of solving. So very, very light solving, but this is crucial because I think until the end of the semester, this will be how you solve problems. It will always start with this skill or these techniques. Okay. So for today, we would be doing a quick recap of last session's activity, your Google Classroom question activity. Next, I will give a few class reminders, especially about your groupings. And third is our discussion problem, which is to get familiar and comfortable with the common properties of fluids and be able to manipulate them as needed depending on the needs of the problem. Okay? Again, if the connection gets a little bit shaky later, please stay and I will try to reconnect if ever we get disconnected. Okay, so last week, Sunday, I asked you, before the class ends, I asked you to, I gave you five numbers and asked you how many of those numbers have five significant digits. Okay, so the correct answer should be three. Okay, why? Out of these five numbers, the first number 1.2524, I think there's no confusion here. This has five significant digits because all the digits are non-zero. Right? Next, the next number, again, our rule for zeros. If the zeros is on the left side of the number, nevertheless, or does does not matter if it's before or after the decimal, these zeros are not significant. While zeros at the right side end of the number are always significant. So for this digit, our significant digits are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last zero, making it 6. So this number has 6 significant digits. Next number, again, zeros to the left are not significant. Zeros in the middle are significant. So this number has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant digits. So this is one of the answers. Next number, again, zeros on the right side of the number are always significant. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 significant digits. Okay? And the last digits, again, zero at the right end side of the number are significant, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. Okay? So correct answer is 3. So again, every time I do activities like this, they will be around 5 points each. Okay? You get it right, you get 5 points. You don't get it right, you don't get the 5 points. Right? And over the semester, our goal is all of these 5 point individual 5 point questions. Eventually, we will reach 100 points. Okay, after 20 questions. Okay, so uh, at at the end of the semester, all of these questions in the classroom will be equivalent to one quiz. Okay, so always try to do them diligently. Okay, any questions about these significant digits? Later on, I in our sample problems, I will also show how these significant digits appear in our problem so you can get an idea on how it is applied to our problems. Okay, if no more questions, then we proceed to our class reminders. Okay, class reminders. I have informed you that you will be grouped or and this will be done by yourselves. Okay, so you will be choosing your group mates, but I will tell later how many groups of how many people will be in each group. Okay, these groupings will be used for both recitation and group reporting during face-to-face or online classes. Okay. For today, for example, today I have a discussion. Usually during this discussion, I have sample problems. Okay, so these sample problems, I will not just solve it just by speaking. Okay, I will have one of you help me in discussing that solution, especially because one style that I do not have a calculator with me. Okay, so for example, I have a example problem. I do not solve it here as I do the class. I ask someone in the class to help me discuss, so that person will be the one who will help me with the flow as well as type in the digits to the calculator, okay, and solve with me. Okay, so that is also part of this grouping. The person who will be doing that will also be based on this grouping. Okay, and also again, that's for recitation and for group reporting. Again, for example, tomorrow is our face-to-face class. So I plan to have our first quiz tomorrow about today's topic, right? And afterwards, if we have time tomorrow or maybe next week, we will be discussing the how to solve those questions or those that quiz. So I will again pick the groups that will help me discuss the answers or the solutions to the first quiz. Right? Again, individual members still need to report at least twice by the end of the semester. If you report more times, then you of course get a higher grade. But twice is the minimum, should be the minimum. Okay, more than that is advantage to you because that will be over the score or it will appear as a bonus already for that individual. Okay? And this will be equivalent to one problem set. Okay, so the group recitation and group reporting will be one problem set. The Google Classroom questions will be one quiz equivalent. Any questions or clarifications with this? So for your class 3106, you are 34. If you are 34, I'm thinking around six groups or seven groups. I will just put in the chat later. In the one reminder also, everyone please join your appropriate Google Classroom and Messenger group chats. Okay. For the Google Classroom and Messenger group chats, you should be joining the section that you are attending. If you are attending a different, if you have arranged with me a different schedule to attend, you should be in the Google Classroom or Google or Facebook Messenger group chat of the class that you are attending to. because your groupings will be based on that group, and you need to stick to that section until the end of the semester. So no transferring randomly of sections until the end of the semester because of the groupings. The groupings is fixed. Okay, next. Google Classroom questions. Again, 5 minutes will 5 point each. We already had one question last week. Okay. So this we will do once in a while to check our understanding, usually at the end of the class. Then similar to last time, I will give you around 5-10 minutes depending on the difficulty. And you have to answer that on the Google Classroom. And because within the time frame, because I will cut or stop the submissions after that. So that is your like daily or per meeting knowledge check or learning check. Okay. Again, average total scores of the question, hopefully by the end of the semester, will be 100 points, and they will be equivalent to one quiz. Okay. Any clarifications? So the grouping, I will just send you in the messenger group chat the number of groups and the number of members each, and then you will just reply with your groupings, the names of each group. If by the end of the day you do not have a group yet, then I will be the one to group the remaining people, right? So the grouping again every session. So at least one or two members from each group should be ready, such that when I call out the group to ask for something, maybe recitation or reporting, and the designated person should be ready, okay, to answer. Okay, any question before we move forward to the formal class? In my class list, we are 34. But where are we 36? Okay. Two, two counts ba ako? Teka lang. Try ko lang i-stop yung presentation ko. Okay. Ako nga. Because I am two counts of, there are two counts of you. So 34 of you plus me. Just a moment. Just checking something. Okay, so now we move over to properties of fluids. Okay? Similar to our, before we start any topic, I want to have an overview of the common properties that we will encounter, especially for fluid mechanics problems. Okay. So first property is the mass, which is usually shown with the units kilogram for SI. For English, we have pounds or some other variation of it. Okay, so sometimes we will have tons, we will have kilograms, grams, centigrams, megagrams. Okay, so it is the quantitative measure of the amount of matter. Okay, so the amount of molecules, atoms, which enhance inertia in an object. Right. So the amount of matter. You, for example, if you have a box, the measure of the quantity of those molecules, of those atoms in that object, that is called the mass. Okay, so it's amount of matter. Okay, sometimes a small mass can have a very large amount of matter. Sometimes a big object can have a very little amount of matter. Okay, so the numeric value of this is called the mass. Usually, we will be doing that in kilograms, but once in a while, you will have it in pounds. Okay, so for uniformity, when converting with pounds, we will be using 2.204 as our consistent conversion factor, okay, including the 0.4, not just 2.2, right? 2.204 will be our standard, no matter how many significant decimal places is prescribed. When converting values, we will always use 2.204, right? Regardless of how many uh, significant decimal digits is required for the final answer for our consistency and uniformity. Okay, so this is mass. Next is temperature. Usually you should be shown in Celsius, Fahrenheit, but in SI units that will be Kelvin. Sometimes you will also encounter Rankine or letter R. Okay, so this is the measure naman of the thermal energy content of the object. Right? I hope by now you are familiar with the conversion between Celsius and Fahrenheit, but the conversion from Celsius to Kelvin will just need to add 273.15. Conversion from Fahrenheit to Rankine, you need to subtract 459.67. Okay? Again, for uniformity and consistency, we would be using these conversion values, including the two decimal digits, for our computations. Again, regardless of how many significant digits is prescribed in the final answer. Okay. So for mass, we have 2.204. For temperature, we have 273.15 and 459.67 for Kelvin and Rankine, respectively. Next is the volume. Okay, so this is the amount of space occupied by a mass. Right. Again, this is the amount of space. If you have a consistent mass, the amount of space that is occupied by that mass, that is the volume. Okay. So for solids, that will be very compact. Since solids have atoms that are tightly compact, their volume is usually small or compressed altogether. Right? Then for liquids, they are usually still close together, okay, but they take the shape of their container. For gases, they are usually far apart from each other and will usually take up the total space or total volume of the container. Right? For liquids, if you will notice, the total volume of the glass is not filled by the liquid. Right? It uh, only takes up a certain portion depending on the volume of the liquid. But for gases, no matter how many or no matter how small the amount of gas molecules are, they will always enclose or take up the entire volume of the closed space, no matter how big they are. right? So even if they are just a very, very few molecules, if the boundary or of the container is very big, then those atoms will still take up the entire space or the entire volume of your container, right? So for gases, the volume is generally container based or container bounded. For liquids, it does not, because it will not fill up the entire container. It will also fill up a portion. Okay? And for solids, of course, they have a fixed volume usually. Okay? And question about volume. Volume is something that we will always use for fluid mechanics because again, we are dealing with liquids and gases. Okay, next is, of course, lastly, pressure. Okay? Usually in the units of pascals, okay, which is also equivalent to Newton per meter squared. Okay? So this is the amount of force exerted over an area in fluids. Okay? So if you break that down by formula, that is force per area or force over area. Okay? By unit, that is force. The units of your force is Newton. The unit of your area is meter squared. So that's Newton per meter squared, which is equivalent to Pascal. Okay? For some of you who have already taken up mechanics of deformable bodies, this pressure for solids is also called your stress or axial stress. So for stress, for axial stress, you have the same formula, force over area. Okay? But for fluids, so for example, for a solid, if you apply a 100 Newton force to an area of zero point 0.1 meter squared, then the pressure or the stress experienced by that area would be force over area, which is 100 newtons divided by zero point 0.1 meter squared. So you would be getting 1000 newton per meter squared or 1000 pascals, right? So this is the amount of force experienced by an area. For solids, that is called stress. Uh, but for liquids, we call it pressure. Okay? Over the next sessions, you will discover that same with solids, fluids also experience pressure. Okay? And what is the manifestation of this pressure? For example, you have a liquid in a vertical cylinder and you put three holes on the cylinder with the same hole area. Right? You would notice that the fluid flow or water flow on the lowest hole would be farthest from the container, while the flow on the highest hole will only go to a short distance. Okay? So this is actually a manifestation of pressure over area because the fluid in the bottom hole is experiencing a larger pressure. Okay? So since these three holes has the same area, okay, a larger pressure would mean that the fluid is experiencing a larger force, right? Which means the fluid at the bottom of a container is experiencing a larger force per unit area compared to the fluid at the top portion of the container, which is experiencing a slower force per unit area. Right? That higher force per unit area at the bottom is the reason why the jet or the flow is farther compared to the jet or the flow from the hole on the higher portion. Okay? This is also why if you are in a high-rise building, okay, the fluid flow on the lower floors or the water flow in the faucet of the lower floors is stronger than the water flow on the faucet of the higher units. Okay? So it's that actually one benefit of living on a lower floor because your water supply would be stronger compared to the higher floors. Okay? So that is one application actually of pressure in fluids. And in the following classes, we will understand why this phenomenon happens. Okay? So those are your four important. There are also other properties, but for now we focus on mass, temperature, volume, and pressure. So where do we use this for? So we use this for to solve for the fundamental properties in fluid mechanics. Okay, so once you have your groupings, it will be just like this. Every topic that I will discuss, I will have someone on standby. For example, for group one, for this section, I will be having someone from group one to discuss with me. So someone from group one should be ready if I have follow-up questions or questions during this topic. I will that person from group one will be the one answering the questions or discussing with me. Okay, so that will be the format of the like recitation. But for now, since we still have no group, so I will discuss this first by myself. Okay. The first property of fluid I want you to understand or to isapuso, know by heart, is the absolute density, or simply density, which is the ratio of a fluid's mass to the volume. Okay? Ratio of a fluid's mass to the volume that is equivalent to m, mass, divided by V, capital V, which is volume. Okay? The units for this will of course be mass over volume, kilogram per kilogram over volume, which is cubic meter, or equivalent in the English. So in the English units, this can be pounds per cubic feet, pounds per cubic inches, okay, or other forms. Or even mixed, kilograms per cubic pounds can be mixed. So you practice your conversion of units. Right? Common symbol would be rho. So this is the Greek letter rho, usually used for density. Okay? So what does this density mean? Again, this is mass per volume. So this is the amount of mass per unit volume. So for example, I have a unit volume here, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube. So I have a unit volume of 1 cubic meter. This value is a representation of the amount of matter within that 1 cubic meter of volume. Okay? So for gases, expect a very, very low density because there is very little mass per unit volume. For liquids, it would be higher. And definitely solids have a very, very large density because they pack a lot of mass in a unit volume. Okay? So this is how your density will vary from different cases. Okay? This density is also the reason why if you put different fluids in a container, they will sometimes create layers. They will not mix, but they will create layers. Okay, and these layers, the basis or the order of these layers is dependent on the gravity. Right, because high density fluids, which means high mass per unit volume, usually sink to the bottom, and low density fluids, meaning low mass per unit volume, float on the top. Okay, so the order of your fluids layers in a container will depend on the order of their density. Low, the lowest density will be on the top, and the highest density will be at the bottom. Okay, so the density, the value of density will also be the basis, your basis on how you expect the layers of fluids to appear in a single container. Okay, so you just arrange the density from lowest to highest, and that will be the order of your fluid in a container from top to bottom. Okay, okay. So for fluids, again, fluids are liquids and gases. For fluids, again, our density is constant, right? Because we consider liquids as incompressible, right? Since their density is constant, you can say that their density should be known or an accepted value already. Okay? For example, when I say water, let's check. For example, when we discuss about water, you do not need to solve or find or yeah, you do not need to solve for the value of that the density of water already because water has a constant density which for us will be 1000 kilograms per cubic meter, right? So for liquids, the value of density is usually a constant or a given value, right? It does not change depending on the container, right? So it is easily can easily be obtained from usually from tables or for water, for example. I expect you to know already or memorize that the density of water is 1000 kilograms per cubic meter. Okay. So that is a known or accepted value already because that is for liquids. For gases, since we say that gases are compressible, right? So you can the volume of gases is dependent on the container. So even if you have the same mass but different containers, then the gas will spread differently between those two containers, right? Which means the density or the ratio of mass over volume will vary depending on the pressure and temperature, as well as the volume, okay? So for gases, usually you have to solve for your density using the ideal gas law, right? So if you remember, your ideal gas law is your PV equals MRT, pressure times volume equals mass times gas constant times temperature. But to simplify our life, I have rewritten that here in this form, in the form of density equals pressure over gas constant per gas times temperature. Okay? So again, density is your mass over volume. Okay, so you can use this formula to solve for density, or if you need other values like pressure or temperature, then you can use these equations also. So this is derived from your ideal gas equation. Okay. Okay. Other property, specific volume. Okay. Specific volume is just the inverse of density. So if your density is mass over volume, mass per unit volume, then your specific volume would be volume over unit mass. Okay, just the inverse. Okay, so for example, here I have a volume of 12 cubic meter. I have a mass of 3 kilograms. Right, the density would be mass over volume. So that is 3 over 12 which is equivalent to 0.25 kilogram per cubic meter, the specific volume would be the inverse, or volume over mass. So if I use volume over mass, then this will be 12 over 3, or equal to 4 cubic meter per kilogram. Okay? Specific volume, small letter V. Volume, capital letter V. Okay? Do not get confused with it. And please write legibly or consistently the size of your letters. So if it's capital, then make it capital. If it's small v, then make it small v. Okay? So again, from your gas equation, R is a gas constant that is different value depending on the gas. Okay? So for example, for air, my gas constant usually is 0.287. If I have ammonia, it will be 4882, argon, bromine, isobutane, etc. Okay? So depending on the gas, you will have a different value of gas constant. For air, I want you to memorize and know by heart 0.287 kilojoules per kilogram Kelvin. But for the other gases, this will be given in the problem if needed. But for air, I hope you, moving forward, you can memorize or know by heart 0.287 kilojoules per kilogram Kelvin. Okay? Any question? So actually, for today, our discussion would and examples would revolve around these two: density. Actually, specific volume we will just lightly tackle, but my most important thing for today is density. Density for liquids and density for gases. For liquids, it's easy. Just know, just get the mass and the volume directly. But for gases, you have to get it through the ideal gas equation because of the compressibility property of gases. Okay? Any questions about density and specific volume?
None.
Okay, so let's try to solve example 1. Okay, determine the density. So my problems, this is how I usually write my problems. Determine the density in kilogram per cubic meter and mass in kilogram of air in a room whose dimensions are 4 meter by 5 meter by 6 meter at 100 kilopascal and 25 degrees Celsius in 3 decimal digits. Okay? So this is how you would expect my problems to look like. Right? So I want you to try to solve this first. I will be giving you 6 minutes. Right? 6 minutes. So density again, that is, so the formula again is for gases. So this is air. So for gases, this will be your formula. Density equals P over RT, as well as density equals mass over volume. Right? And then, since this is our first example, I gave you the R gas constant R for air, which is 0.287 kilojoules per kilogram Kelvin, as well as the conversion to Rankine, to Kelvin, because your R is in Kelvin, right? So you have to convert your the temperature to Kelvins also. So again, temperature is Kelvin is your degree Celsius plus 273.50. Okay, so I think I hope you will be able to solve for this. Okay, so please try to solve on your own. But once you have your groupings, we will be solving this as a class with the group representative as the one to help me solve. Okay, wait, so since we are solving this as a class naman, let's just reduce it to 3 meters. 3 meters, 3 minutes. Okay, try to solve. Okay, so let's try to solve. I will be sharing a different present something else. You should be seeing now the Google Whiteboard screen, Microsoft Whiteboard screen. Okay, so I will use this to solve the example. So during our discussion, when you are doing group reporting, then the reporter will be discussing what what he will tell me what to write here. Okay, so he will be telling me the flow that I will be writing here so you can see how to solve. Okay, but before we go here, oops, I just want you to show you this. So this is our layering example earlier. Okay, so as we said earlier, higher density, higher density means your fluid will be going to the bottom. Okay, so for example, if honey has a density of 2 2000 kilogram per meter cube, okay, then it will be at the bottom. Ethyl alcohol, example, if have 0. No, uh, around say 700 kilogram per meter cube. Okay, then it will be at the top. Okay, so which means each of these items, the density should be increasing. So for example, ethyl alcohol is 700, then should just be around 800. Water is again 1000. Liquid soap is around 1500. Okay, so if you are asked to arrange fluids, the order of fluids in a container, then one key item to check, to check is the density. The density should be in ascending order as you go down the container. Okay, so we will have problems that will require you to tell the order of fluids in a container. So use density as your guide. Okay, so going back to our example problem, and this is how I expect you to solve also. Okay, you start with the given. Okay, and I want you to write and convert the given values into the units that they need to be. Okay, so for example, first given is the dimensions 4 meter by 5 meter by 6 meter. Okay, so that will give me the volume of my room, which is 5 meters times, times 4 meters times 6 meters, which is equal to 120 cubic meters. Okay, at 100 kPa, so that is my pressure, 100 kPa, okay, and 25 degrees Celsius. So that is my temperature, 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, next, I need to write what is needed. Given here, determine the density and mass. So density and mass, okay? And then I will write the necessary equations I need to solve for that, okay? So for density, since this is air, lagay ko na rin dito air, I will be reminded, say I need the ideal gas equation, okay? So for density, from our slides earlier, that will be P over RT, okay? Then mass is density, oops, times volume. Okay? So density times volume, that is from rho equals m over v. Okay? Okay? So because of this also, I have to write, since this is air, I have to write my gas constant, which we said equals 0.287. Wait, where is my slides? 0.287 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. Right? So from here, I can see already I have a Kelvin property here. Okay, so I have to convert my 25 degrees Celsius to Kelvin. So this will be equal to 298.15 Kelvin. Okay? Please check please check my solution ha, because I am not using calculator. I do not have a calculator with me. Okay? Okay. So from this, we can start solving. We start with the density equals P over RT, which is equal to P. So that is 100 kPa divided by RT. RR is 0.287 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin times T, which is 298.15 Kelvin. Oops. Okay. So can anyone please check the value of this on the calculator? Yes, January.
Sir, ang lumabas po sa akin ay 1.168646841 po.
Okay. So, sabi natin, balik ako lang, silipin ko lang yung problem. Sabi ko sa problem, in 3 decimal digits. So, answer would be
1.169 po.
1.69. Okay. Then, ang units natin, the Kelvin will cancel. Actually, itong kPa tsaka kilogram per kilogram na to, may equivalent yan na cancel eh. Pero, ang magiging result niyan, since SI unit to lahat, ay, Tagalog na bigla ako. Okay. So, if you will follow the solution, the units of since all your given numbers are in SI, then the value of density that you will get will be kilogram per cubic meter. Okay? So, I expect that your final answer will be like this for letter A. Okay? Okay? So that's your density. Next number is the mass. B. Again, we said the mass is here. Rho times V. Density times volume. Okay? So since we already know the values, then we can solve for the mass. Okay? However, for density, remember density here is a is an intermediate value. Okay? It's not yet a final answer. So since we need three significant decimal digits in a final answer, sabi natin, as a practice, we use for the uh, double that for the intermediate solution. Okay? Which means for my density here, I'll be 1.16. Janry, can you provide until the sixth decimal?
Sir, wait lang. 86468461 po.
168647. So that's six decimal places. Tama ba?
Opo, sir.
So this is kilogram per cubic meter. So that's our density in its full form. Okay, so 1.169 is the final form, but the full form is 168647. Times volume, which is we solved earlier, that is 5 times 4 times 6. So that is 120 cubic meter. So my mass now would be equal to, can anyone solve this please? Yes, Dave. 0.238. So again, three decimal digits, kilograms. Okay. So that is correct. Yes. So this is your mass. Okay. So this, for now, the goal here is to get the properties, get the density, get the mass, get the volume of our fluids. Okay. For liquids, it's easier. Most likely, you get the mass and the volume, you get the density, or you get the density, you solve for the mass or the volume. Like two given, one unknown. Usually for liquids, for gases, it's more complicated because you have to use the ideal gas equation. Okay, so this is how it's done. Any question about this, about the solution? Later on also, later on, I will provide this whiteboard so you can use it as a guide for your review. Okay, so this is that one. Okay, next example. Again, solving pressure. This is now pressure in a container. Okay, a 100-liter container is filled with 1 kilogram of air at a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius. What is the pressure in the container in kPa with two significant decimal digits? Okay, again, I will be giving 3 minutes for you to solve this. A similar approach, but different, I think to find. It's still air, okay? So you still need the ideal gas equation. You have 100 liters, so this is volume, okay? So as a guide, 1,000 liters is 1 cubic meter. This one. And you also have the value of temperature in degrees Celsius. Right? I have also given here the value of your gas constant again for air. And then you need to solve for the pressure in the in kPa. Ay, mali. Email ko pala yun. Sorry naman. Okay, so let's solve this. Again, we start with the given. Given our volume is 100 liters. Okay. So for uniformity's sake, I will already convert that to cubic meter. 1 cubic meter is 1,000 liters. So this will be equal to 0.1 cubic meter. Okay. Any violent reaction
None po.
is filled with 1 kilogram of air. So that 1 kilogram is your mass. Right? Again, air, which means ideal gas. So once you read air, it's helpful if you already write the R already because you'll use it. Excuse me. You'll use it anyway. So R is 0.287 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. At a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, or again, converting that to uh, Kelvin, that is 300.15 Kelvin. And the conversion there is 273.50. Okay. Now we saw. Now find. We are asked to find the pressure. Pressure. Okay. So again, going back, our remember that our equation for ideal gas is P equals rho equals P over RT. So solving for pressure, pressure then becomes rho RT. Okay? However, in our equation, we have no value of rho here. Okay? Which means we need to break our rho RT. Okay? Which is equal to M RT over volume. Okay? So we can now use this MRT over volume to solve for our pressure. Right? So for this case, since we do not have the value of density yet, we break down our density into mass over volume because we have those two individual values. Okay? So solving this, we get our mass is 1 kilogram, our R is 0.287 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. Our temperature is 300.15 Kelvin. All divided by the volume, which is zero point 0.1 meter cube. Okay, is P. So we will get a value of pressure. And again, anyone solve this, please. In, anong sabi natin? In, uh, wait, two, two decimal digits. Hmm, sino pong may answer? So 861.40 kPa. Okay, so that is your final answer. Equations, unknown quantity. Okay, and next question. Okay, so if not, the following slides, continue lang to. I will be discussing tomorrow. Ay, wait, do you have class at 10:30 and or 11 pa? Luzelle. Luzelle. May
11:30 pa.
10:30 ba kayo? Lahat?
Yes po.
Okay, if wala pa, if wala, ito ituloy na lang natin na para tomorrow is konti na lang tayo. Kasi quiz din tomorrow eh. Okay? Sorry for starting late and ending a little bit late. This answer. So if not, then just to continue lang to. Okay, so where is that? This one. Okay? Any questions with this? So the key here, the challenge here actually is the units because sometimes but once you have converted everything into SI, for example, then ideal gas equation formula. Okay. Next property that I want you to learn is the relative density or specific gravity. Okay. So this is easy. It is just the ratio of the fluid's density with reference to water, okay, or 1,000 kilogram per cubic meter. So the SG or the specific gravity of your fluid, this is just the density of that fluid divided by the density of water. Okay, it's just a ratio. It's just a comparison of density with respect to water. Okay. So so if the value of Sg that you solve is less than 1 or smaller than 1, then that means the density of your fluid is lighter than water, so it will float in water. Okay? If your Sg is greater than 1, then it is heavier, so it will sink in water. Okay, so this will affect the layering, if you remember earlier, the layering of fluids in a container. Then so that depends on density, right? So since this is density divided by density of water, so it is also directly proportional to that specific gravity. Okay? So our pattern earlier for density is also applicable to specific gravity. Okay? For example, this is the same given as your number one. Okay, but now determine that specific gravity in 3 decimal digits. Okay, so if we solve this, let's go back to the whiteboard. Whiteboard. Ay, mali. Kung ano yung mabubuksan, kami makikita kayong hindi so here, as the first one. Okay, so from the first one, we have already solved the density is equal to density 1.169. Oops. 647 kilogram is the density. Okay, so we are asked to determine the specific gravity. So again, specific gravity is equal to the density divided by density of H2O. Okay, so this is equal to 1.168 647 kilogram per cubic meter divided by 1,000 kilogram per cubic meter. Okay, so this is equal to Sg to 0.00 2. 3 decimal digits daw eh. Okay? Ay, 1, 6. Ay, tama. 1, 1, 6. So, 2. No. 1. 0.001. Kasi round off. Round down siya kasi 0.00116. Okay, any question? SOSG directly proportional siya with density. Okay? Which is why, if you would notice here in our diagram, right? So these are the values of our density earlier, right? So if we convert that to SG, again, SG is just density divided by density of water. So for water, your 1,000 will become 1.0. So that's 1,000 over 1,000. Your 800 would be 0.8. Okay, your 700, would be 0.7. Okay, your 1,500 would be 1.5. Your 2,000 would be 2.0. Okay, so if you would notice, the pattern is still the same with density, right? And those values which are lower than 1, so this is water, this is our reference, the middle one, water. So everything that is below than 1 is above the level of water. Everything that is greater than 1 is below the level of water. Okay, so this is your guide on what is the order of okay. Any questions po? So if you have no questions, then actually the last one is weight density. Okay, it's just again the ratio of the fluid's weight to the volume. Okay, so the formula for that is simple. That's just density, because density is mass times volume. Okay, so if you want to convert that mass into weight, you just multiply that with gravity. So you get weight over volume. Okay, so density times gravity. So I do not give example for this anymore because it's okay. Any questions? So that's all for today. Okay. Hope you had a good understanding of density, especially for gases using the ideal gas law. For liquids, it's much easier. That's directly mass volume. Okay. For tomorrow, that will be our first face-to-face class. Okay. We will have a little bit more examples, more complex, and then latter part will have our quiz one. Okay, so that's what will be done face-to-face, individual. Okay, so I hope you can attend tomorrow. The groupings, I will just stay tuned in the chat. I will ask earlier. I will ask later how many, I will tell how many groups and how many people each. And then you group yourselves into that groups. Okay? Any final questions or clarifications? These materials as well as the whiteboard I will upload later pa tonight after the last class, so mga 6 p.m. for you to review. Okay, so if no more questions, then that will be all for today po. See you tomorrow again. That's face to face for our first quiz.